Good morning and welcome to the May 19th Land Use and Livability Subcommittee meeting. May 19th is a very special day for me because 33 years ago I was giving birth to my son, and my mother also celebrates her birthday on May 19th. So with that, do we have any call to public request?
We do not have any call to public today.
Thank you. Then we'll move on to item 1. I do believe we have a speaker on item 1, which is approval of minutes.
Chairwoman Stark,
Am I right?
the member of the public is not on the line.
Okay. All right. So can I get a motion for approval of the minutes, or are there any corrections?
Motion to approve?
And I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And hopefully our vice mayor will be joining us shortly. Our next is our consent agenda, which is items 2 through 5. Is there any questions on the consent agenda?
No, I will motion to approve items 1, 2 through 5.
And I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. The next is an information-only item on Head Start, which we have every month. Do you have any questions?
No,
Pretty
I'm sure
routine.
we'll have some exciting things for them, hopefully in a couple of weeks, but not today.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't we then move on to item 7, which is the fiscal year 2021 to 26 public art plan. And I believe Mitch is presenting.
Good morning, Chair Stark and members of the subcommittee, Councilwoman Guardado. I'm Mitch Menchaca, Arts and Culture Director for the City of Phoenix. I am joined by my colleague Ed Lebeau, Public Art Program Director. Today we are presenting on the fiscal year 21 to 26 CIP Public Art Plan that includes 40 projects all over the city with 11 new projects and 29 continuing, totaling $12,485,913. I will turn it over to Ed, who will give the formal presentation.
Thank you, Mitch, and good morning, Chair Stark and Councilwoman Guardado. It's good to be here. This year marks the 35th year of the Phoenix Public Art Program. It began in 1986 with City Council's visionary adoption of the Percent for Art Ordinance. And what that did was it directed the city to invest 1% of its capital improvement program, that is money that's used to design and build city infrastructure and spaces, to enhance the design of those spaces. The guidelines are that the projects need to be at or near city CIP projects. Funds have to be used for capital purposes. And over the last 35 years, that has led to more than 200 projects throughout the city of Phoenix. And one of the essentials of the work that we do is to map the city's capital improvement program. This mapping is really important because it enables us to see what the city is building, where and when. And in the old days, we used to take a map of the city of Phoenix and put different colored thumbtacks on the wall to identify capital projects. With the advent of GIS mapping, we've been working very closely with the Water Services GIS specialists, and we have developed a GIS map that enables us to see exactly what you see here in this slide. We knew that and this is a project that's in this year's art plan, we knew that the Parks Department and community were very interested in carrying out improvements at Perry Park. Well, when we mapped the CIP program, we could see that there are a wide range of water capital infrastructure projects right next to that park. That enables us to use Water Percent for Art funds to develop a project or program a project at that site in the coming years. This sort of mapping has been used for all of the projects that we have in the public art plan so that we make sure that we meet the guidance of the ordinance, which is to be at or near city capital sites. Just for reference, this year's plan, that is the one in fiscal year 2021, has $10.3 million and 33 projects. The proposed plan is, as Mitch mentioned, 40 projects. For $12.4 million, there are 11 new projects in that program and 29 continuing projects. And you can see the breakdown of the fund sources here, a lion's share from water, wastewater, Percent for Art, and aviation as well. But we also have funds available through streets and transit, Public Works, and then a little bit from Parks this year that is new, and it's a great contribution to the program. There are, of the 29 continuing projects, they fall into about 3 different categories, plus one that's considered planning, but they're completion and closeout, as you can see there, construction and installation, and then design. And what I'd like to do is simply show you some highlights of what's in the plan for each of those areas. Obviously, the SkyTrain work that's going on, the 24th Street station by Frank Gonzalez. He designed this beautiful terrazzo floor. This project is completed, the floor is laid, but we expect the station to open sometime in the next year and a half or so. Same with the rental car center, Terrazzo, by Bill D'Ambrovo. Both of these are Arizona artists. They designed the Terrazzo, local company Advanced Terrazzo built the floors. And we also have a weather fence at the SkyTrain station, rental car station at SkyTrain. That was designed by Roberto Bahar and Rosario Marquardt, and it is a beautiful, beautiful weather fence. 107th Avenue streetscape was recently completed by Haddad and Drugan. Happy Valley I-17 interchange, recently completed, local artist Dan Mayer. Also, the South Mountain Loop 202 pedestrian bridge at Elwood was recently dedicated. It's an extraordinary project that crosses the 202 at Elwood. We also have a number of projects that are, we've been working with water through the years that are to enhance the design of inactive community well sites. This one is at 73rd Avenue in West Crittenden in District 5. It transformed this empty lot surrounded by chain link into a really beautiful setting with lighting, trees, sculpture, and it involved the students from nearby Trevor Brown High School as well. Same with the well site 157 at Edgemont and 55th Avenue. This was the before picture of the inactive well site. This is what became of the collaboration between the artist Kevin Berry and Janet Weibel. We also have one just beginning construction right now. These are projects that are heading into construction in the art plan at 63rd Avenue in Osborne in District 7, right across the street from District 5. Its current condition is there, and this is what the transformation will look like when the project is done this coming fall with the local artist Jeff Zischke. We also have in construction the Terminal 4 S1 connector bridge, Terrazzo. Susan Lagaretzi is the designer, and as you can see, she's designed a terrazzo floor and wall combination that will be an immersive landscape, really. You're flying in over the terrain, and that's the view of the floor. And then you have corresponding views out these airplane windows of the terrain as it goes by. And not only are you flying from day across daylight, but you're also entering nightfall. And so there's a section of the floor where you see what she's designed for that. That's heading into construction, as I say, in the coming months, and we're looking forward to the completion of that in the coming year. The other large initiative that we're carrying out, thanks in part to funding from the National Endowment for the Arts, is our SHADE initiative. All the council members have spoken very eloquently and poignantly recently about the need to cool down our city and to provide cooler pedestrian amenities. There are 3 parts to this project. One is a heat awareness booklet that we're working with our climate specialists at Arizona State University on content for. This will be made available online, but also in the hand, and that's we hope to have that completed in the coming months. The second part of this project will include artists' designed shade screens, part of bus shelters. This is just one example of a past project from 67th Avenue, and you can see what Leticia Huerta did with these beautiful shade screens. We hope to accomplish the same sort of thing with this portion of the project. And then finally, the third part of this, we go from the public area shade to private shade, and that is we have 14 Arizona artists who are about to begin a design of artist design umbrellas to spread the word that it's important to cover up, protect oneself in the summer, and to provide shade as you walk around the city. We also have some major projects in construction that are retrofits. The East Lake Park Civil Rights Memorial, this is its 25th year, and as part of that, we're doing some structural upgrades to the sculpture itself. And I'll turn it over to Mitch for a moment to talk a little bit about the other portion of this project, which is going on right now.
We're excited to be working with the Human Relations Commission and the Arts and Culture Commission on updating the last panel of the timeline on the Civil Rights Memorial. There's a timeline that has wrapped around that was put in when the installation was put in 1997. The last panel will be of civil rights updates on a local and national level from 2000 to 2020. A task force has been assembled between the two commissions to get community input, to give us ideas on what the elements of that timeline should be. And we have put out to council offices, thanks to many of you for putting it in your newsletter and social media. We're trying to get comments online, by phone. We'll be holding a community meeting on May 25th. And if the community would like to participate with giving their ideas, those need to be shared by May 31st. And the link is Phoenix.gov/arts/memorial-timeline. And we'll make sure to get that information far and wide, but wanted to share that collaboration with the Human Relations Commission and our Arts and Culture Commission.
Thank you, Mitch. We also have some major retrofits going on at Arizona Falls, one of the landmark projects along the Arizona Canal at 56th Street and Indian School Road. That includes lighting and safety and electrical upgrades. And then Civic Space Park sculpture. We're looking to upgrade the lighting system there to see if we can swap out the old-fashioned high-powered lights for more efficient LED lights, which will save the city some funding over the future years. And then also it's time to change out the sculptural net, and so that will be occurring in the coming year as well. The other projects that are in design right now, Cortez Park well site and Arizona Canal, you can see the gold outline there of the site. Artist John Randall Nelson was approved by council last fall to begin working with the water team to develop designs for the walls. This will highlight the history of the Zaneros and the canal area around Cortez Park. We also have the Drought Pipeline Walls project. The artist who just approved this morning, Mary Schindel, will be working on this. She'll be designing 73 feet of wall adjacent to this neighborhood at 20th and Northview. We also have a major, close to 400 feet of wall that she'll be designing on Maryland Avenue, just south of Granada Park. Those will both be entering design in this coming summer. We also have Tres Rios wetlands, the ecosystem restoration that's occurring at 91st Avenue. This is really an extraordinary project and story because all of the water we use and flush goes through the pipes of the city and winds up down at 91st Avenue to be cleansed to a level where it can be reintroduced into nature, creating wetlands, and it's an extraordinary birding and wildlife area. As part of that, Adam Kuby has designed interpretive pathways, outlooks, raptor towers, and a wide range of other things that will be really wonderful for people to experience in the years to come. We also have the North 32nd Street Improvement Project in planning. This is something we're working with Streets, obviously, and District 3, your office, Chairwoman, and the community in the coming year to select artists for. We also have well site BS2B, which is at 14th Street in Alta Vista in District 8. We'll be working with the Water Department to enhance the fence line of this project. This is not an inactive well site, it's an active one, so there's some complexities to it, but we're looking forward to working with the council office and the community on that. And we also have the Maryvale Grand Canal crossing. Streets is involved right now in developing the extension of the Grand Canalscape project, so we would be working with your office, Councilwoman Guardado, on that crossing and perhaps pedestrian amenities adjacent to it as well for the community. And then finally, we have the Water Services West Yard project at 45th and Avenue and Camelback, and artists we expect to be selected in the coming year for that project. And then finally, we have the 7th Avenue at Melrose project. This was one of those projects, one of the very few projects affected by the pandemic. These are outdoor galleries at 7th Street and the Melrose Curve. We usually have poets and artists and outdoor events associated with this, but of course, this past year that hasn't been possible. That will occur in the coming year. And in the future years, that is beyond fiscal year 21, 22, From 22 to 26, we have these projects. And most of these projects, all of the park projects that you see there, are the result of the mapping we've been able to do to see where there are overlaps between water, percent for art funds, and parks opportunities. And then we have, of course, the Cool Corridors project, which will enhance pedestrian areas along 1 mile stretches in each of the 8 council districts and an additional one of the mayor's selection. That's something we're looking forward to. We've been working on cool corridors and shade projects for many years as part of the public art program, and we look forward to being involved in that. I just wanted to say a word. It's been a complex year, as you know, but I just want to do really a shout out to the remarkable construction trades here. Many artists design works wherever they come from, whether they're here or elsewhere in the country, but it's our local construction and fabrication trades that largely produce the works here. So this is a direct funding source for our construction industry. And just so you know, the South Mountain Loop 202 cladding was done by Magnum Companies in West Phoenix. And these are the worker hours that went into it just on their part to produce the cladding and install it. More than 12,000 hours of worker time to produce that project. Same with Wellsite 8488 in West Phoenix. More than 8,000 worker hours as part of this project, and you can see the breakdown there between 2,500 in design all the way through installation. So it's a remarkable part of our public art program that we will get to work so closely with the wide-ranging talents that we have here in this valley. So in summary, the plan has 11 new projects for $3.1 million, 29 continuing projects for $9.3, and then 40 projects in total for $12.4 million. The other thing I just want to add is that we are making available as part of this plan and part of our mapping effort, a map where people can go on and look at where these projects are in relation to other projects that have already been done throughout the city over the years. The other thing I just want to add is that in the coming months, we'll be debuting an online mapping tool for people to use with cell phones and laptops so they can explore the collection when they're out and about the city. It's going to be, I think, a great asset for people. And with that, I will turn it back over to Mitch.
Thank you, Ed. And with that presentation, we request that the Land Use and Livability Subcommittee recommend to City Council approval of the Office of Arts and Culture's FY 2021-26 Public Art Plan, and we are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Ed, thanks for complimenting all the trades. Art brings a lot of excitement and beauty to our city, but it also is an economic development tool. It brings jobs for our residents and businesses within the city of Phoenix. So I appreciate that. Are there any questions or comments? Yes. Councilwoman?
Yes, thank you. Well, thank you so much for that presentation. I'm definitely very excited to see what our canalscape will look like once it's all nice and ready to go. Hopefully we'll get some before and after pictures, and it will be more than a transformation, I think. We'll be able to do in that canal. I think it's very exciting. I think, Mitch, you and I have had this conversation before, but I am hopeful that we can figure out some artists out in the West Side that can definitely help with that. One of the things that I'm committed to when it comes to this canalscape that we're going to be, it's going to look amazing, but the only way we're going to keep it this way is if we get the same residents that live in that area, to be part of the process, to make this canalscape happen. I don't want us to put this investment and no one feels ownership. So I definitely want to make sure that we do find artists out in the West Side. I know there were a couple of folks that applied for grants last year and they didn't get the grants. So hopefully we'll be able to connect you with those folks from the West Side that didn't get the grants last year, and we can figure something out, because I think this is a real gem. It's a real jewel. And as we see these canalscapes working and we put art and people are using them, it will motivate us to want to do more. I know we have a lot of space where we can continue to do this. So I think that's incredibly important. So on the projects for the West Side, I would just want to make sure that we're finding artists from the West Side to work on those projects. I think equity and diversity is incredibly important. And I do think, I'm not sure where we will be at with COVID and the numbers here till November 1st, but I do think that el Día del Muerto, like, it's another way to celebrate art. I think we have a lot of creative artists and a lot of people that would love to be able to do something. So we have a couple of celebrations that are coming up, and I think it'd be great for us to be able to work something out where we can, have artists come out and display their art, and and then having people like learn a little bit about the culture and the different cultures out there. I think that's important, and hope, I would like to see something, where we're evolving and it's more equitable, and we're reaching out to the West Side, the murals are amazing and they're great and we should continue to do the murals, but then also with education and, and figuring out the different programs that we can be a part of with the schools, and making sure that we're able, to bring it to other folks that could also do a great job. But other than that, I think it's all great.
And thank you,
Thank you.
Councilman Guardado, and we really appreciate that. And with all of these projects, we do a lot of community engagement with the neighborhood, and would love to connect with those artists as we had professional development programs, including how to get into public art, and we would love to link them with those education opportunities so that we can work with them on future projects.
Great, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Any other comments? Okay, well, can I get a motion?
Motion to, sorry,
Oh.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Vice Mayor.
No, no problem. I was just gonna say, agree with some of the comments of Councilman Guardado, and thankful for all the work you all did, and motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
great. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
The ayes have it. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, 8, development agreement with Metro West Development LLC for disposition and redevelopment of a site at 814 North Fifth Avenue. I believe that's Chris.
Yes, Chairwoman Stark. Chris Mackey is coming to the table.
Okay, perfect.
Good morning,
Great,
Madam.
welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having us here this morning. With
Absolutely.
me is Joseph McEwen, Project Manager in Community Development, and Gretchen Wolf, Program Manager over Procurement in Community and Economic Development. We are here today to talk to you about a property that is owned by our Neighborhood Services Department, and we are here today with a proposal to dispose of this property for an exciting development. This is a small property that is on Fifth Avenue, north of McKinley. It's about 7,500 square feet. It is a former single-family residential lot. And I'm going to ask Joseph McEwen to walk you through the details of the history of the project and then the proposal. Joseph?
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, chair, members of the subcommittee. So a little information about the site's location. 814 North Fifth Avenue is located in downtown Phoenix, just south of Fifth Avenue and Roosevelt, and is part of the historic Roosevelt neighborhood. In the immediate area, just east and west of the site, is some multifamily. Just south of the site is a parking lot for that multifamily, and just north of the site is the coffee shop known as the Teapot. And as Chris mentioned, the site itself is approximately 7,000 square feet. Little information about the site's history. So you see the aerial there before you around 2000, 2001. In 2000, Council authorized the purchase of the blighted fourplex using CDBG funds. And in 2001, an RFP for rehabilitation was issued, however, ultimately unsuccessful. Unfortunately, in November 2005, the structure suffered severe fire damage and had to be demolished in 2006. The aerial you see before you is of the property after the fire damage. 2017, an RFP for redevelopment of the property was issued, however, was unsuccessful. And in 2020, we reissued that RFP for redevelopment of the property. You see there before you the aerial of the vacant site. I'll now turn it over to Gretchen Wolf, our procurement manager, to go over the procurement of that RFP.
Thank you, Joseph. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. So City Council authorized the issuance of this RFP last May. We issued the RFP in September with a December 4th proposal deadline, and proposer interviews were conducted in early January. We advertised this business opportunity on the city's website as well as in the Arizona Business Gazette, and we notified more than 500 people who are registered to receive our development RFP notifications. The only minimum qualification for this RFP was the purchase price, which was set at the appraised value of $345,000. By the December 4th proposal deadline, we had received 2 proposals, both of which were responsive and forwarded to the interview process with the panel. And the evaluation panel used the criteria approved by this subcommittee and council of concept to activate the site being the heaviest evaluation criterion, followed by the return to the city, and then the proposer's qualifications and experience. The panel recommended Metro West Development, and I'll pass it back to Joseph to tell you more about this business.
Thank you, Gretchen. So as Chris and Gretchen mentioned, the recommended proposer was Metro West Development. I'm sure you all are very familiar with Metro West and their work in downtown Phoenix, but a couple points about their experience that are relevant to their proposed project that we're here to talk to you about today. Metro West has completed several redevelopment and infill development projects in downtown, and as part of a 2014-2015 RFP, Metro West acquired and rehabilitated 2 historic homes on 2nd Avenue. In terms of community outreach, staff presented this recommended proposer and their proposed project in the month of April to 3 community groups: Downtown Voices Coalition, Central City Village Planning Committee, and Roosevelt Action Association. All groups were in strong support of the selection of Metro West and their proposed project. So the proposed project by Metro West is in relation to Sergeant Oldacre House, the historic home located at 649 North 3rd Avenue. This home was built in 1909, and the goal of the project will be to relocate this home to the 814 North 5th Avenue site and rehabilitate it. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, Metro West has recent experience in rehabilitating historic homes, and that was very relevant to their proposed project today. Some of the business terms that we have agreed to in an executed LOI, as Gretchen mentioned, the only criteria in the RFP was the purchase price with the appraised value. Metro West has agreed to purchase the site for $345,000. On council approval to move forward with this project, Metro West will enter into an agreement with the city, a development agreement with the city within 180 days. And this third point I'll pause on just for a moment and discuss. Really, until the actual work of moving the house begins, it is very hard to fully know just how feasible it will be to move the house. As I'm sure you know, there are only a select few companies in Arizona with the experience to actually move this house. Metro West did engage with a company prior to submitting their proposal for this RFP, and a preliminary assessment did deem that it was feasible to move this house. But again, until the actual work begins, no one truly knows how feasible it will be. So, as agreed to in the LOI, if unable to relocate the historic home, the developer will build a single-family home on this site. Metro West has submitted plans, and they are approved by Historic Preservation for a home to be built at 814 North 2nd Avenue. CED has those plans on file, and the scope and scale of the house that Metro West builds on this property would be similar to those plans. And then finally, once a development agreement is entered into, Metro West has agreed to complete the project within 24 months. And with that, staff is recommending and requesting the Land Use and Livability Subcommittee recommends City Council approval to enter into development agreement with Metro West for the sale and development of 814 North Fifth Avenue. And we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, and I sure hope they can save that house. My fingers are crossed for the move. Are there any questions or comments?
I can make a motion to approve.
Okay. We have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank
Our
you, Madam
next
Chair.
item 9 is the 2021 and 21-22 Community Development Block Grant Public Service Subrecipient Recommendations. And Spencer and Watsna. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. We intentionally made the title of this item very long to get time to come to the table, so thank you for reading the entire thing. Watsna and I are very excited to be here today to discuss the culmination of several months of work between staff and the Community Development Review Committee on reviewing the applications and providing recommendations for this subcommittee on how to spend 2 years' worth of community development block grant public service funds. I will now turn it over to Watsna Sayason, our Deputy Director over the Administrative Services Division within NSD, who oversees our grant team.
Thank you, Spencer. So the subcommittee may recall that we have more recently presented on our public service program before. But just a recap, our CDBG RFP process for the public service program does provide an opportunity for nonprofits to apply for funding to deliver critical programs and services that serve low and moderate income residents in Phoenix. Through these funds, nonprofit organizations are able to expand or improve their service delivery to our low and moderate income community members. The program priorities nonprofits were able to submit proposals under were low-income youth services, support services for persons with disabilities, and senior support services. Again, you may remember that these particular program funding priorities are reflective of our current 5-year consolidated plan, our annual action plan, and then feedback from residents and neighborhood leaders. This page provides you kind of a quick timeline of our RFP process. Back on February 25th, we reissued the 2020-21 Public Service RFP. The RFP was open for 30 days with a deadline of March 25th, and staff conducted eligibility and technical reviews to determine which proposals were able to be considered for award to the Community Development Review Committee. Due to the large number of proposals received, NSD requested and received subcommittee and city council approval to combine the 2020-21 and 21-22 CDBG public service allocations to increase the number of grant awards and increase the allocation from $400,688 to $781,550. So now we are here today presenting the award recommendations as recommended by the Community Development Review Committee, and our hope is to proceed with presenting to Council on June 2nd at their formal meeting subcommittee's recommendation. A total of 33 responsive proposals were received, 26 applications under low-income youth services, 2 under support services for persons with disabilities, and 5 under senior support services. The CD Review Committee recommended awarding grant funds to 26 agencies to provide 28 programs that maxes out the total available allocation of $781,550. 22 will be awarded for low-income youth services, 2 under support services for persons with disabilities, and 4 under senior support services. So here before you are the 22 nonprofit agencies being recommended for award under our low-income youth services category for a total of $613,778. One agency, Lifeology Arizona, is being partially funded based on the remaining available balance of the category's $613,000 allocation. I do want to point out that 79% or 26 of the 33 total eligible proposals submitted during this RFP process were for the low-income youth services category. This traditionally is our most heavily requested funding category for our public service RFP process, and that's why you see so many agencies being recommended for award. Our CDBG grant funds will help these agencies implement programs such as early childhood education, after-school childcare services, mentorship programs, youth camps featuring sports and fitness and STEM activities, nutrition education, music education programs, all for our underserved youth population. A total of $50,061 in CDBG funds is being recommended to award to 2 agencies proposing to provide support services for persons with disabilities. Southern Arizona Association for the Visually Impaired is being fully funded their $30,000 grant application request to fund their Reaching Empowerment Through Achievement and Learning REAL program for blind children in Phoenix. This program provides support, education, and training needed to empower their clients to become successful, independent, contributing members of our community. Savvy anticipates serving an additional 25 families with these grant funds. The second agency recommended for award is Raising Special Kids. They'll be partially funded, again, based off of the balance that was remaining for this particular category. Our grant funds will help them expand one of their existing programs aimed at building families' capacity to understand the nature of their child's disability and enhance their skills in advocating effectively for and securing education services that will ultimately lead to better physical and mental health outcomes for their clients. I want to point out that these were the only 2 programs submitted under this particular category. $117,711 will be awarded to Valley of the Sun YMCA, Chicanas por la Casa, Duet Partners in Health and Aging, and Father Matters Incorporated for senior support services. This is allowing us to fund 4 of the 5 proposals submitted under this particular category. Funding will go towards critical transportation services for our senior residents to medical appointments and household errands, providing individual grocery shopping services to homebound seniors, and home case management services to prevent reoccurring medical incidences for our senior citizens. And with that, our requested action for subcommittee today is to recommend City Council approval of the 2020-21 and 21-22 Community Development Block Grant Public Service Awards. And we are more than happy to answer any questions the subcommittee may have.
Thank you. I appreciate the presentation. Are there any questions or comments? Yes.
Yes.
Councilwoman.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So I just want to say thank you so much for this presentation. I cannot even imagine not having any of this guidance for our children and for our families. It's something that is not easy for folks to navigate. So with that, I would like to make a motion to approve item 9.
We have a second?
I have a second. Can I make some comments as well?
Oh, yes, please.
Thank you. Yeah, really excited to see some District 8 organizations like Tiger Mountain and others to be on there. I guess one question I had for staff, as we're figuring out the ARPA funds, it sounds like there's some amazing organizations that applied. I'm sure you had to leave some out. Wondering if there's an ability, and again, I'm asking the question because I know it's RFP and there's processes, but just wondering if there's some folks that nearly made the cut that we could look at supporting with ARPA funds or other types of funds. And I would second that. I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice
Spencer?
Mayor. Madam Chair, so the Community Development Review Committee did make a recommendation that if additional funds were available, they would recommend funding additional organizations. And we would be happy to discuss with our city manager's office and Jeff, who's leading the charge on the ARPA funds, and see if that could be an opportunity.
Great. Thank you. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. You got to keep bringing Watsa back.
Thank you.
She's very thorough. She's very good. Okay, our next item is 10, a consideration of a citizen petition as it pertains to the makeup of the Ethics Commission.
Good morning, Chairwoman Stark and subcommittee members. It's Toni Macaron. And yes, indeed, we did receive a citizen petition from a resident, Mr. Andre Williams, related to the makeup of the Ethics Commission. Staff is here today to answer any questions that you may have. I also understand that Mr. Williams is on the line, who can further explain the requests in his citizen petition. And then we have a couple of other residents on the line as well wishing to speak.
Okay, great. Why don't we start with Mr. Williams?
Mr. Williams, are you on the line?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
please
can.
proceed.
Okay. Good morning, council members, members of the city manager's office, and members of the clerk's office. This is Andre Williams. I submitted this petition, so I am definitely in support of it. However, it is not only unreasonable, but it would be extremely irresponsible for the council to further delay the Ethics Commission from beginning its activities by blocking the 5 already vetted appointments being voted on this afternoon. Councilwoman Guardado, this afternoon, please vote yes to approve the 5 appointments. Question for the city's manager's office. Can the charter be amended in such a way that both allows the commission to begin with the 5 members while allowing additional members to be added at a later date?
Chairwoman Stark, City Attorney
okay.
Chris Meyer is here, along with Deputy City Manager Karen Peters, who spearheaded this project. So we'll turn it over to Chris Meyer to answer that question.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, members of the committee, and Mr. Williams, you mentioned the city charter. To amend the city charter, that would go to the voters. I think you probably meant amending the city code, which is where the Ethics Commission is. And the answer to your question is yes. If the council appointed the members now, the council could always, at any point in the future, amend the ethics ordinance, repeal it, amend it, add members, change the makeup of the board or the procedures for appointing them. So that is within their authority.
Thank you, Chris. I recall when in planning, we amended the Planning Commission so that one of the members represented the villages. So I've seen it happen before. Any additional comments, Mr. Williams?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the other speakers, could you please?
Our next speaker is Jeremy Thacker. Jeremy, are you on the line?
I am on the line.
Please proceed.
Thanks. I am also in support of the Ethics Commission. It's a strange place to be, though, because I don't support the current structure of the Ethics Commission. And I also support Mr. Williams' claims that the expansion of the and representation of the members of the commission. But I do have some additional changes that I think are really important. And I'd like to just reiterate Ms. Guardado's statement at the beginning of, or regarding this at last council meeting, that without the structure being correct, it doesn't matter who the members are. And I think the structure, so much has changed since 2017 or, back to 2012 when this all began. And I think the entire oversight that is provided by the Ethics Commission should be reviewed, even if that does delay the start of the Ethics Commission, which I want as badly as Mr. Williams does, it sounds. But more importantly means that it's done right and there's authority given. And right now it hasn't either. So that's my comment. Thanks.
Thank you. And we did get a copy of some of your proposals. So thank you very much. Next speaker.
Our next speaker is Diane Mihalski. Diane, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed.
I support creation of the Ethics Commission. In government and law, nothing is perfect. certainly not from the beginning. It's better we get a commission in place and then work to make it better. Having no commission at all really makes it hard on citizens. And so I urge the committee to move forward on creating an ethics commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I know this process started long before I was on the council. I believe when Mayor Stanton was here, he formed a committee that talked about the process. Could you just kind of briefly review that for us, Karen? I think you were involved in that.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I wasn't directly involved with it, but certainly I can do a quick recap. So as you indicated, then Mayor Stanton appointed an ethics review task force in September of 2012, and that task force worked over the course of several months before it presented its findings and recommendations to the council in 2013. The ordinance itself was not adopted until January or February, I should say, of 2017. In the interim, there were many discussions and debates and subcommittee meetings about the provisions of the proposed ordinance, which were modified many times in the interim. But it was adopted in February 2017. So that's how the ordinance came to be. If you have questions about what followed, I'm happy to talk further about that.
Well, and I was on the council when we voted it in, but part of my understanding is we had difficulty recruiting people for the commission, and that caused some problems.
Madam Chair, yes, indeed. So after the ordinance was adopted, staff proceeded to advertise and work to support the work of the Judicial Selection Advisory Board, which is required by the ordinance to recruit and vet candidates for recommendation to the council. And so we did do that in 2017. We had a number of applications that were accepted, interviewed by JSAB, and then forwarded. They were not appointed. There were a few hiccups there. We solicited additional candidates in 2018. Those were also interviewed by the JSAB and recommended to the council. But that's the last that has occurred until this year, when the mayor appointed the ad hoc committee on ethics commission appointments.
Thank you. Well, I think a lot has been done on this ethics commission. I think we need to give it a chance, but I do agree with Mr. Williams. Perhaps we need to look at increasing the membership. But I think we have 5 great candidates who filled out a very thorough questionnaire and were vetted through a series of interviews, not just our ad hoc committee, but the Judicial Review Board. And so I think they should be appointed, and then they can help us fine-tune the commission itself, because they then become working members. So I think Mr. Williams is suggesting something great, but I think we need to continue on with the process. Is there any questions, comments? Yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Yeah, when it pertains to the petition, I don't have any comments on the petition, but I think, like Councilwoman Stark said, the council looks very different from when this conversation happened. That started in 2012, and I believe this is coming to a full council in a couple of hours. So I think we should just have a more thorough conversation with the full council, because I know that I appreciate the meeting we had with you, Karen, and with Chris, but I think there's still a lot of unanswered questions. I think that there's been a lot of items that it's taken us a little bit to pass, because with a different council, there's different ideas, different things that might need to be implemented. And we just started this conversation, at least for 4 of us, only 2 weeks ago. So I think there's just a lot of unanswered questions, and I'm sure we'll have a bigger conversation when we see this later on today. But that's all for now. Thank you. You're on mute.
I'm on mute. I was going to say thank you so much for your comments. I appreciate that. And Vice Mayor, did you have anything to say?
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to the conversation later this afternoon. I think, Karen, if it's possible, because we weren't around, just to refresh our minds later on today about like the intent, or kind of try to put us in the place of the reasoning behind the folks who pushed this forward. I think the 5 folks that were moved forward are fine. I still just would like to understand the process a little bit better, consequences, all those sorts of things. And I think some valid points were made both by Jeremy last time and Andre as well. And so I would like to look into some of that, or understand the reasoning when this was passed before obviously I was on council. Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess we'll have more conversation this afternoon. I think I want to thank Mr. Williams for the petition. And as I said, I'm very open to increasing the membership, but personally, I want to get on with the Ethics Commission. So I don't think we need to take any action, do we, Chris? Okay, perfect. So next on our agenda is call to the public. Is there any call to the public?
There are no callers.
Okay, and then lastly, any future land use and livability agenda items? Do any of the members have? Okay, well then meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Fans at each one of their 14 home games, and remain committed to delivering a fun and engaging fan experience.
It's surprising that, again, in a normal world, when you have 2,000 fans, we'd be celebrating as much as we do. But just seeing people back, the energy, the excitement, I know the players absolutely have loved it so far. So as long as we can stay safe, we keep our players safe and staff and fans, it's just such a great step into